Good morning, everybody, or good evening, or whenever you're listening to this podcast is. We're back with episode 36. I'm joined with my co-host, who's already ashamed of me, Bradley.
Episode 36 of what, Weston?
Of the Rollout show.
Of the Schmollout Mo?
The Schmollout Mo? That should be our, alter ego.
The Schmollout Mo.
On this episode, the Schmollout Mo.
I'm Pradley. And
Okay.
You're
Weston?
Queston. Yeah. Pradley and Queston.
Bradley and Weston here joining you.
On the Schmollout Mo.
On the Schmollout Mo with some great sprouts talk.
This is the most annoying thing we've ever done.
And considering we've done a ton of annoying things, that's pretty impressive.
Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of The Rollout Show. Hit them with what we're going to talk about today, Weston.
We're going to talk some NFL MVP. We're going to talk about the Green Bay Packers and potentially mishandling of a certain superstar.
I don't think it was mishandled, but go ahead.
All right. We're going to talk the MLB winter meetings and the big offseason moves to this point and some potential offseason moves. And we're also going to go into a little Super Bowl prediction and probably go on a couple other different avenues as we usually do. So just jump on in and come along for the ride.
Can I take us behind the curtains a little bit? Can I bring the audience to backstage for a moment?
Go ahead.
So usually when you do what are we going to talk about in this week's show, you go in chronological order. Why is baseball at the end of your list when you know we're going to start with that?
Because that's not the order I wrote it down in.
Can you redo what you just did in chronological order, please? Thank you.
All right, that was a rewind. So what we're going to do, we're going to talk some MLB offseason moves because MLB is the best sport in the world.
And then
baseball.
Football. Okay, good.
All right, done.
Go to baseball hell. Go for it.
I was just in baseball heaven this past week.
Ooh, where were you, Weston?
And I'm not talking about Busch Stadium either. But I'm actually talking... Hey, it is called baseball heaven,
I don't get the joke.
Okay, it's called baseball heaven. Whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I was at the baseball winter meetings this past week down in Orlando. Ton of fun. Met some great people. Shout out to Greg Amsinger, Mad Dog Russo. A lot of the different teams I met with. It was a lot of fun. A lot of great people. Got some friends for life. Great time. So anyway, we'll summarize that with some of the moves that happened during the winter meetings. One of the biggest trades, you may know, it happened right before the winter meetings, was Giancarlo Stanton going to the New York Yankees.
Boo. We talked about that last week.
We did?
It's a shame. Yeah. It sucks.
You just didn't want him to go to New York, him and Judge, Murderers Row?
Well, and they didn't get anything for him.
I mean, really, they somebody talked about it on a radio show. Basically, them trading away Chase Headley to the Padres, as well as trading Starlin Castro to the Marlins, it's basically knocked Stanton's contract down this year and next year, I believe, to about $13 million is what they added. So they basically, for what they signed Matt Holliday for last season for a year, is what they're getting Stanton for the next 2 years, which great move by Brian Cashman. He pulls a rabbit out of his hat again.
It's easy when you got the owner of the Marlins in your back pocket. Anyway,
hey, that's how he scored those awesome seats at the Dolphins game.
Oh,
instead of actually doing his job. What? Did I say that?
What?
Huh? Oh,
Shots fired?
Shots fired. Yeah, yes, sir. So that was the main move for the Yankees there. Another big trade that happened was also involving the Miami Marlins. Marcell Ozuna going to the St. Louis Cardinals for a package of prospects, but not the top prospects in the Cardinal system. So it was Sandy Alcantara, Zach Gallen, both starting pitchers / potential relievers, and also his name is escaping me at this moment. Wow.
Good job, baseball guy.
I'm sorry. Zach Castano was one of the other prospects, and oh my goodness.
Wow.
This
is embarrassing.
Well, yep.
Just push through. Move on.
All right.
And another guy.
Okay. Who's pretty good, but also not basically the main story here is the Cardinals got 2 years of a big home run bat, great outfielder for Magnera Sierra, sorry. That's the other prospect. He's a really good prospect for the Cardinals. He's basically the fastest guy in the minor leagues. He's lightning quick, except a lot of people don't think his bat's going to come around, so he may end up being more like a Billy Hamilton kind of guy.
I've seen that Broadway show.
It's okay. Watching Billy Hamilton play is better than that Broadway show.
Why would you take shots at Hamilton?
Because you took shots at Billy Hamilton.
I don't even know who Billy Hamilton is. Why is that taking a shot?
Because, I don't know, he's one of the fastest guys in baseball, steals a ton of bases, plays a great center field for Cincinnati, doesn't hit a whole lot. So,
okay.
Just one of those speed guys.
I'm still confused of when I criticized Billy Hamilton with my horrible, horrible joke.
Because of that horrible joke.
Critical.
It was taking a shot at Billy Hamilton. That man stands on his own. He stands on his own. Do not compare him to a Broadway show. Even though that show does seem pretty great from the little clips I've seen.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I would love to.
I was about to say, I know for a fact you have not seen Hamilton. Come on.
All right, please push forward.
Anyway, so the big thing with this Ozuna trade, you get 2 years of a young outfielder who hit 38 homers last season and basically just got overshadowed by Giancarlo Stanton in the Marlins lineup. He's a really good outfielder, not very expensive, 2 years of arbitration control left, and the Cardinals did not give up Alex Reyes, Luke Weaver, or Jack Flaherty, who are the three top prospects in the Cardinals system.
There you go, buddy. Learn to count.
Math. Math is a good thing to learn. So they're able to get an impact bat while still having a ton of prospect capital left to go ahead and make another corresponding move, which may end up bringing them into the Manny Machado sweepstakes or continuing to talk to the Blue Jays about Josh Donaldson. And that's another segue into this. Manny Machado is apparently on the block, and a few teams, including the Cardinals, White Sox, and I believe the Phillies, have been interested in Manny Machado's services.
That's not really a surprise, is it?
No, he's an impact player. The only thing is he is 1 year away from free agency, so his value is going to be down just a little bit, even though he is, because the Orioles do not want to grant a negotiating window with any team. And a lot of teams are asking for that, so the trades they're getting offered are probably down a little bit because they're not granting that negotiating window. So it's more in line of just getting 1 year of his services instead of getting potentially 10 years of his services. And
that boy's gonna get paid.
Oh my gosh! He's arguably the best third baseman in the majors. It's between him and Nolan Arenado. But Machado actually came up as a shortstop, and he's played shortstop a few times in his career, and he's really good over at short. And he's going to be a free agent at age 26, and he's a huge impact bat. He's basically a franchise-changing talent. So a lot of teams are really lining up to try to trade for him, especially if they can get him for a little bit of lesser value than they would have originally had to have given up, even though they're going to try to sign him to a massive extension.
What do you think he's going to get, 10 years, 380? Does that sound about right?
Something like that, honestly.
Harper's going to get 400, isn't he?
Most likely. The thing is, don't know if the Yankees are going to be in on him, but a few other teams are trying to clear some space where they can make a run at him next season. And I think 10 and 350 is starting point for Machado. Machado and Harper base 10 and 350.
Right. They're going to get more than that.
Oh, absolutely.
Which is insane.
It's just, they're both going to be 26 when they're free agents, and you saw what happened when Jason Hayward, who is not anywhere near as good as Bryce Harper or Manny Machado, became a free agent, and he got 180 from the Cubs with 2 opt-outs in it. So that just goes to show you whenever there's a free agent that's really good and they're also really young, they get paid, and they get paid for a long time.
Good for them.
They've earned it.
Yours, yeah.
You've earned it. They're both great players, and they're gonna basically shatter any records for contracts, in my opinion. So that's why there's another wrinkle to the story, though, is that the Orioles owner is really concerned about trading Machado because he's afraid different teams are trading for him so they can then flip him to the Yankees, because the Orioles really do not want him to go to the Yankees because the Yankees are trying to work out a trade for him as well, but the asking price is naturally very steep because the Orioles don't want him to go there because it's an awful PR look for them. So that's another reason why the owner isn't granting a negotiating window, I guess, with Machado. It's a very strange situation, but in all honesty, I think it ends up where Machado ends up just staying right in Baltimore because
for the rest of the season.
And if they're out of it by trade deadline, I think they may end up flipping him just so they can get something back for him. But it's just the Orioles have seemed to have this thing where they almost get to where they work out a trade. It's in the final stages, and then all of a sudden get cold feet, and then they back out. That happened last year with Zach Britton when they had a trade worked out with the Astros to trade Zach over there to be their new closer, and then they backed out last minute over different physicals. So if any team basically has a physical gone wrong, it ends up being the Orioles 9 times out of 10.
They got good doctors over there.
They've got good doctors, and they know what they want. So we'll see what happens with the Machado sweepstakes. And another thing, touching on the Bryce Harper free agency next year and Manny Machado, is the Dodgers made a big swap after the winter meetings with the Atlanta Braves. They traded for Matt Kemp, bringing him back out to Los Angeles, and traded Scott Kazmir, Adrian Gonzalez, Brandon McCarthy, and Charlie Culberson, and $4.5 million to the Atlanta Braves.
Aren't those a bunch of old guys?
Yes, and Adrian Gonzalez has already been released by the Braves. He wasn't going to be there, but Adrian Gonzalez actually waived his no-trade clause to make this deal happen, because he knew he wasn't going to play in LA. He knew he wasn't going to play in Atlanta if he got traded there, but this was the quickest way for him to get back out on the open market.
To get to a new team.
Team. So it was a tough decision for him and his family, but he wasn't going to play in LA. He barely played at all last year, even though he was injured. And when he came back, he basically wasn't even with the team most of the time. So this just gets him out of there, start a new chapter of his career.
Well, because they have their rookie first baseman, right?
Oh, Cody
really
Bellinger?
Like? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Cody Bellinger is, the plays he makes at first base, his range is incredible, which comes back to bite him sometimes, as we saw in the World Series.
And his swing is god-awful.
His swing
his swing
is sweet, but that is the longest swing I think I've ever seen in my entire life.
Looks like he's trying to hit the moon with every stroke of the bat.
Hey, man, you got to go up there hacking.
I guess.
It works for him. We'll just see if it continues to work for him. Honestly, I don't know if they probably did face off against each other. I want to see him go up against like R.A. Dickey or something with that swing, because I feel like that would just jack up his timing for like 2 weeks, because you just see that like slow knuckler coming in and then just messes with your head, and then you have that super long swing, and oh man.
He'd do horribly.
But the one big thing that comes of this trade is this puts the Dodgers under the $197 million luxury tax threshold. So it resets their luxury tax clock. So this puts them basically in play for Harper and Machado next year, because if they dip under the luxury tax for 1 year, then it erases the penalties that accrue over the 5 years of being in the luxury tax. So this actually puts them in play for re-signing Clayton Kershaw if he opts out next year. Also, jumping into the Machado sweepstakes, or potentially getting Harper.
Are you admitting that the Dodgers made a really good move?
The Dodgers make some great moves. They made a great move with Atlanta. It's a salary dump for each team, because Atlanta really didn't want to play Matt Kemp anymore, and his contract is atrocious. And the Dodgers are trying to
excused.
The Dodgers are trying to flip Matt Kemp to whoever will take him and actually chip in a prospect to get his money off the books. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen. So Matt Kemp is also knows he's not going to stick in LA. He's going to get either released or traded to another team.
Poor Matt Kemp, just trying to make a living.
Hey, Matt Kemp has made a living.
I know, I'm just kidding.
He's going to be just fine.
It's just facetious.
He just wants to play again. He
just wants a home.
He just wants a home.
He wants a team to love him.
It's weird how it's full circle. He ends up back in Los Angeles after he signed that massive contract with LA, and then LA's been trying to get rid of that contract a couple of different times, and then now he's He's right
He's back.
back.
He's
and they're
back.
trying to get rid of the contract again.
Welcome home, Matt.
Welcome home, Matt Kemp. Might be a short stay.
Ooh,
sorry,
righty then.
But it's honestly a brilliant trade. It's reminiscent of a basketball trade, just a big salary dump. And it's, even though it's two different front offices with the Dodgers, it's reminiscent of what happened between Boston and Los Angeles that ended up getting Carl Crawford, Adrian Gonzalez, Josh Beckett, and all of them to go to LA. It's just a huge salary dump from Boston when they wanted to get rid of the bad contracts Theo Epstein signed.
Whoa. Everyone thought Carl Crawford was going to be really good.
For 2 years, until his legs gave out.
Well, who could have seen that coming?
A guy who relies on speed over 30? A lot of people.
Have you seen LeBron James? All right, let's continue.
Two different spots. Hey, man. No hating on Carl Crawford. A lot of people wanted to sign him. They just thought 7 and 130 was a little bit of an atrocious contract.
It's a little much.
I mean, paying for a guy whose main asset is his legs.
He's just got a good agent, man. He's got a good agent.
And you know what? Hey, good on him. He's set for life now. Carl Crawford's a good dude. Seems like a nice guy, man. Anyway. That about wraps up our baseball talk for today.
Oh, thank you.
Actually, on second thought, we got the Ian Kinsler trade. Since you wanted to talk more baseball,
nobody cares
Bradley,
about Ian Kinsler.
A lot of people care about Ian Kinsler.
I don't even know who that is.
He is the second baseman for the Detroit Tigers, or was, and then now he has been traded to the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. They had a couple other trades worked out, but Ian Kinsler had a 10-team no-trade clause.
Isn't Anaheim where Disneyland is?
It is. Good job, Bradley. Hey.
Is that a proper derailment? Can we move to another track now? Or do you want to finish your thought?
Anyway, Ian Kinsler blocked a couple of trades. The Angels were also on his 10-team no-trade list, but I think he really wanted the leverage, and he decided Anaheim was a better place for him. So he goes on out there instead of taking the trade from the New York Mets, because, I mean, this teams him up with Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani, Cole Calhoun, Albert Pujols, and those guys, and they have a really good chance at making the playoffs next year, where the Mets, it's kind of a little bit more up in the air. So good for Ian Kinsler. He gets out of Detroit. Been a class act up in Detroit. Had some great seasons, and wish him the best of luck on his future endeavors.
Good luck, Ian. We'll miss you.
You don't even know who he is.
I have no idea who that is.
All right. Anyway, talking about missing people, let's talk about the Packers and missing Aaron Rodgers.
Okay. So Aaron Rodgers, got to clear my throat for this one.
Yep. I know you're gonna have a lot to say about this.
So Aaron Rodgers, earlier in the season broke his collarbone. Season for the Packers.
Don't land on your throwing shoulder.
I hate Tom Brady. The season for the Packers was over. They were done. Stick a fork in them. And then, they just kept on barely winning games.
Brett Hundley, the GOAT.
Brett Hundley went like 5-3 or something, kept them afloat.
Oh, yeah.
All the way to this weekend. 7-6. The Packers, they got a chance to make a playoff run. The hero on his white stallion, Aaron Rodgers, returns triumphantly and looks inaccurate, to say the least. I don't know what word I was going for there. So he clearly hasn't practiced in several weeks because he was missing throws. He threw 3 picks, the first time since 2009 he's done that. I was surprised he'd ever done that. They were all 3 actually his fault. Usually when Aaron Rodgers throws a pick, either the receiver ran the wrong route or it popped off his hands. But no, all 3 were legitimately Aaron Rodgers' fault. It's the first time I've ever seen such a thing.
Wow.
Even the throws that he made that were pretty good were behind his targets. He was kind of all over the place. Granted, the Carolina front 7 was coming after him and hitting him early and often. He got sacked several times that game. A couple times he came up kind of messing with his collarbone because he did have surgery. So he has plates and screws in his collarbone. The Packers are basically out of it now. I hope they shut him down. It's a shame, though, because had he come in and been the hero we didn't deserve but we needed, he would have had a good chance at the MVP because, that would have been dope. But
That's your heart right there. You would have had a shot at the MVP.
Well, and Aaron Rodgers, as many of you probably know, is my favorite player in the NFL.
Shocker.
He's probably the most talented football player I've ever seen play. I think he's by far the most talented quarterback to ever walk the face of the earth since football has been invented. And
have you heard of Fran Tarkenton?
Hey man, that's a Hall of Famer.
He is.
To see him struggle was unusual. I just hope, his collarbone's okay. They just sit him out, let Brett Hundley take the next 2 reps. Maybe he'll look really good and they can flip him like the Patriots always do with their backup quarterbacks.
Honestly, though, there for real were a lot of teams in on Brett Hundley coming out of the draft.
Until, these last few weeks, Brett Hundley has not been good.
No, he hasn't been that great. Who knows? Maybe, if he jumps into a different situation, he can eventually be a serviceable starter. We'll see, but he hadn't looked the best over his Packers starting quarterback run.
He hasn't been very good, to be frank. He's been not good at all. So okay. It's a shame. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, it's like seeing a god bleed. He's
actually human, is what you're saying. He can make mistakes just like the rest of us.
Demigod. Aaron Rodgers, I love you. I hope you're okay. Take the rest of the season off, buddy. I need you healthy next year.
Actually, this brings up a valid point. Do you think it was just he wasn't ready, or if his collarbone is really bothering that much and it becomes more of like an Andrew Luck situation where he ends up having to have some other procedure done?
I think he was just rusty. I don't think he'll have to have another procedure done. He was medically cleared to play. Andrew Luck never got medically cleared to play. So basically, the doctors are like, you'll be fine unless you fall on your collarbone wrong. But even if your collarbone's healed and you fall on it wrong, it's going to break. So the risk is about the same. It seemed to be bothering him a little bit. I'm sure it's sore. I mean, the bone's not healed yet.
Yeah.
He just looked rusty. He was missing guys that he never misses, making bad decisions. Honestly, it looked like he had a little less arm strength.
I mean, he probably does.
Because usually, he probably hasn't used his arms much in the last 8 weeks. There was one interception in particular where Jordy Nelson, the classic, great release on the right side, pushing upfield, clears the safety, is going down. Aaron Rodgers is rolling to his right. He throws it up there, and he's short by like a yard. So the corner is able to jump and snag it out of the air.
Right.
It looked like the zip on his ball was there, but his deep ball he kept underthrowing. It was weird.
It's probably just the lack of practice. He doesn't have the touch right now.
That's what I think. He probably hasn't thrown a football in 8 weeks other than the morning of game day. So I'll give him a pass. He'll be fine, I hope.
I do hope he's fine. I think he will be fine. I don't think it's like the Andrew Luck situation. It's just he really hasn't had an injury like that, to my knowledge, through college or in the NFL.
Not to his upper body. He's had leg injuries and ankle injuries. I don't recall ever him having a shoulder injury.
Which is a completely different animal for him, just because of the style that he plays with, because he's just used to just
slinging it
and it being right there and accurate every time. He's not used to having to worry like, oh, is my collarbone actually going to hold up, or like, wow, what's this like sharp pain that I have coming out of my collarbone when I throw. So it's more of a mental game for him. I think he'll be fine. It's just, I'm with you. He needs to sit out the last game. No way he plays.
I would be thrilled to see the ESPN alert on my phone that Aaron Rodgers is sent to the IR. I'd be thrilled, because that means they're shutting him down for the season, and they're going to go ahead and let him start rehabbing for next year.
Which would be good. And I mean,
the Packers, they're as good as the NFC is this year. 9-7 is not going to get you in the playoffs. I haven't looked at the playoff scenarios. There's no way 9-7 gets you to the playoffs this year.
Just look at the 3 NFC South teams that are in the playoff race. I mean, they're all ahead of the Packers. I mean, the Vikings are kind of running away with the NFC North.
The worst the Panthers finish is 9-7, and they'll have the head-to-head tiebreaker with the Packers. Like,
right. I mean,
just leave it.
Was it like a 2% chance the Packers can even make it at this point? If that,
yeah.
I mean, just shut them down. I mean, they've done this in the past when the Packers have clinched, and then they would throw Matt Flynn in the last game, and Matt Flynn would light it up or something.
And then that boy gets paid, and then never is able to start because Russell Wilson gets drafted. I do feel a little bad for Matt Flynn. Like,
he had chances, though.
You and I have talked about this before. That's why I don't feel really bad. Like, clearly, if a rookie comes in and takes your job, you're not getting it done in practice. But he never really got a chance to be the guy. Sort of like Glennon. Sort of what might happen to Mike Glennon this year.
True.
Like, yes, they bring you in, they sign you to a pretty good deal. Matt Flynn got more than Glennon did. And you're the guy. You're going to be the guy, carry us. Oh, wait, here's this rookie that we really like. But you're totally the guy. Never mind, the rookie's the guy.
Yeah.
Like, you're constantly looking over your shoulder. You don't get your real chance. I just feel a little bad for Matt Flynn. I thought he had potential.
I did too. He bounced around to a couple other places and signed a couple other deals for pretty good money, though. So he never took
Seahawks
the job.
Situation was he was gonna be the starter, though.
Classic Pete Carroll telling you what you want to hear.
Pete Carroll, what a guy! What a guy!
And another thing about that, though, that's interesting, Russell Wilson almost lost the starting job. Do you remember the replacement refs game where it was the game-winning touchdown interception game against the Packers, against your Packers?
The game that caused the refs to finally be brought back. I watched that game. I remember because that was.
Weren't we watching it together?
It was 2012, right? And I think I was in my dorm room with Tyler. I don't think we were watching.
We were probably talking about it during the game,
but because it was Monday Night Football, right?
Right, Monday Night Football, grand stage, and then you have one ref touchdown, the other ref
touchback. One threw up touchdown, the other one threw up touchback. It was because what happened?
Time ran off.
What happened was one ref looked at the other ref, who started to put his hands up. So that ref thought, okay, it's a touchdown. But the original ref ended up calling touchback. So then you have two refs standing right next to each other, one with his hands up in a Y and the other one clapping them together as touchback. And it's like, what are you doing,
And then
guys?
the play was so close that when you looked at it on replay, it's just, you can't really decipher either way. There wasn't enough to really overturn what I guess the original call was a touchdown. It was
horrible.
It was a messy situation, but congrats to Russell Wilson because that catapulted his career. I mean, honestly, it did because he was really just so-so in those first 3 games. And then after that game, they got the momentum going, just went on a run, and Russell Wilson never looked back.
Can I ask you a question about Russell Wilson?
Go for it.
Overrated, underrated, properly rated?
I say properly rated. Maybe closer to underrated than overrated.
Okay, interesting. You think Russell Wilson is very good?
I do.
So, I think Russell Wilson is probably the 3rd most overrated quarterback in football.
Behind Matt Ryan and Matt Ryan?
Behind Matt Ryan is the most overrated quarterback in football. And Cam Newton. Because Cam Newton can't throw a football. Cam Newton
gets the job done, though.
Cam Newton is a physical freak. Cam Newton has arguably the strongest arm in football. He's a freak. He's enormous. He can't throw a football. He's so inaccurate. And when I watch him throw, like, he just keeps his feet completely still. His footwork's terrible. He's so inaccurate.
But he's Cam Newton and he's never been changed.
When Cam Newton's on, he's one of the most fun quarterbacks to watch because he's running people over. He's powering in. He's like throwing darts to slant patterns and stuff. When he's off, man, he's bad. And then Russell atrocious. Russell Wilson. Look, Russell Wilson's O-line play has been bad. I will grant you that. And it's probably caused him to lose a lot of confidence in his O-line. But every pass play, whether his protection is good or not, he hikes it, waits a second, spins around in a little circle, starts running for 5 more seconds, and then throws the ball. Just throw the ball in the pocket. Your guys are working so hard down the field.
Honestly, he hasn't had the best talent to work with. Like wide receivers, I mean, look at his wide receivers. It's Paul Richardson?
Doug Baldwin's a beast. I won't have you talk
all
crap
right,
about Doug Baldwin.
sorry. Except for Doug Baldwin. He is a beast.
Is a top 10 wide receiver in football.
Okay, I apologize to Doug Baldwin. I'm just talking about besides Doug Baldwin.
And he has Jimmy Graham, who is still very good, especially in the red zone.
In the red zone, he is. He doesn't seem to be the same guy he was with the Saints, where like the Saints
injuries, man. He's had a couple really bad injuries.
He had an ACL and then like a shoulder or something, right?
It wasn't an ACL. What did he have? Because I remember Stefania Bell of ESPN injury fame saying she wasn't sure if Jimmy Graham could come back from that injury. What happened to him?
I knew it was a massive leg injury because he had just started to find his groove in Seattle, and he reeled off like I think 3 consecutive big games, and then he just gets tackled in the end zone.
If it was his knee, it was like the ACL and the MCL or something. I don't remember. Sorry, look it up if you're curious.
Sorry, guys, but he's very productive. It's just he's a good player. I just don't see. There's not just a ton of talent around like Russell.
Oh, I agree. His running backs are horrible. His O-line isn't great.
I mean, they have a different bell cow running back, it seems like, every year since Lynch retired, really. I mean, how many running backs have they cycled?
Lynch retired, he wasn't good.
Because, I mean, they thought Thomas Rawls was the guy, then they brought in Lacey, then they have like Mike Davis.
Mike Davis is good.
He's good. He's just now like taking the role and
now they have J.D. McKissick and
C.J. Procise, and they had Christine Michael.
Mm-hmm.
They just had a bunch of different guys in there, so his talent hasn't really been, especially running game wise, hasn't really been cohesive. And then Doug Baldwin's a beast, but if he's like your one guy, you kind of need somebody else. That's why I like really look at like Paul Richardson. Well, they have just like a lot of smaller receivers.
Yes, and I think that's part of the problem is they don't have that big possession type receiver like a Demaryius Thomas and AJ Green, a Julio.
Adam Thielen.
Well, Thielen is a special case because Thielen isn't super athletic. He doesn't have like a great jumping ability. He's not super fast. He's just got great hands, and he's really, really, really good at finding the soft spot in zones. Like, he just has this gift where if it's zone coverage, that dude's gonna be open. Like,
that's awesome.
Just stare him down because he's gonna be open.
Future offensive coordinator right there.
For real. That dude's great. I don't know. I just don't like the way Russell Wilson plays. And his arm isn't that strong. I've seen him underthrow so many deep balls. And that might just be because he waits so long to throw the ball. The receivers are 60 yards downfield.
I think that's why. And it's just because, I mean, it's not all about the strong arm because, I mean, you see the cases like Cam Newton and Jay Cutler. I mean, they have the
cases
cannons.
Like Tom Brady, who doesn't have a cannon anymore and is still getting it done.
Right.
I know that. It's just another thing that he doesn't do well. And I don't think he's not that accurate. He doesn't always make great decisions. I just think he's really overrated. Like, yeah, he won 2 Super Bowls on the back of historically great defenses.
Well, 1 Super Bowl and 1 should have won.
Got to 2, I apologize. Yeah. And it's his fault they didn't win the second. Like,
it's on Pete Carroll.
You can talk about the play call all you want. If you recall, that year Marshawn Lynch was one of the worst goal-to-go running backs in football.
Very true.
And there's no reason that ball should have got thrown from Russell Wilson. He saw Malcolm Butler diving towards the route. Don't throw the ball. Or at least just do your roll out of the pocket thing.
Well, he finally listened to you and he was staying in the pocket.
And then he made a bad read.
Exactly. So, you know what? That's why he reverted back. Revert back to what you know. Just run around, try not to get killed by a linebacker or something, then just zip it downfield to Doug Baldwin.
Horrible.
So anyway, speaking of horrible, let's talk about the NFL MVP race, which is up in the air. So,
and I brought this up with Aaron Rodgers because I do think if Aaron Rodgers had come back and had lit it up, he could have won MVP. So you had the favorite, Carson Wentz, who is probably my second favorite quarterback in the NFL to watch.
That guy's awesome.
Imagine Russell Wilson, but
bigger.
But the scrambling thing doesn't happen every play. There's just like little highlights. Sort of like Aaron Rodgers. He plays a lot like Aaron Rodgers.
He really does.
Strong arm, super accurate, makes great plays. The one thing that he needed to learn to stop doing was the running into contact. And people have said all year, stop doing that. Stop doing that. You're going to get yourself hurt. And then he tore his ACL because a guy hit him in the leg weird. As he was diving for a touchdown.
One guy hit his thigh going one direction. The other guy hit his calf going the other direction. And then, But he's old school, man. That's the way he plays. He plays like an old school quarterback. He plays, honestly, a lot like Andrew Luck, where he just lowers the shoulder and goes over somebody.
He's fearless. And it's fun to watch. He would have won MVP. He was leading the league in touchdowns and passer rating and basically every stat. Rolling. The Eagles were the best team in football. Although I will say, Nick Foles yesterday, he looked pretty good.
Hey, Doug Peterson. Good. Doug Peterson's a good coach, and you also have to remember, how many years has Nick Foles worked with Doug Peterson? I mean, he really only had the Rams year where he wasn't with Doug Peterson.
If you recall,
yes,
that 2012 draft.
Yeah, that was your pick.
I said after Andrew Luck, the best quarterback out of that class was going to be Nick Foles. I've been obviously wrong.
Who did I say was going to be the best quarterback besides Andrew Luck?
Probably Russell Wilson.
No, just
RG3.
No,
who did you say?
Kirk Cousins.
Oh yeah, you did. All right, good call.
Winner, chicken dinner.
Nick Foles. He's a good quarterback. His one healthy year starting a full season with the Eagles, he threw 27 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. That's real good.
No, he's really good.
The Eagles aren't out of it yet. They won a close game against the Giants yesterday. The Eagles still have a shot. They've got one of the best defenses in football. Their O-line is still dominant, although they need some help at left tackle after Jason Peters has gotten hurt. They were able to cover up for that a little bit the last couple weeks, but it's starting to show.
It is, and they have a lot of talent, good wide receivers, they have good running backs.
They have a great wide receiver core. Alshon's a legit number one.
And I'm glad they locked him up,
Aguilar is one of the best slot receivers in the NFL, and they have Torrey Smith to just run straight a lot.
Play the Kenny Stills role, just get down the field.
Zach Ertz has finally emerged. They have 3 legit good running backs with Ajayi, Blunt, and Clement. They're good, man. The Eagles, they're not out of it yet.
They still have a shot. Doug Peterson is a good coach. I mean, he'll play to Nick Foles' strengths and everything. They know each other very well, so I think they'll be just fine.
Can I make my MVP pick a coach and pick Sean McVay?
McVay?
Did you notice the McVay joke there? Because he's Bay, because he's a good looking guy. Anyway,
Coach of the Year, Wade Phillips.
Don't be disrespectful, man.
I think they should just call them co-head coaches because I feel like it really is just like Sean McVay. Don't do anything with defense because you don't know.
If you watch that game when the defense is on the field, he's sitting down, like drawing up plays and stuff. He's not paying attention. It's Wade Phillips is basically the assistant head coach.
It really, I think that's why he took the job too. And he got massively paid.
Oh yeah, he's a great D coordinator.
He is. I mean,
one of the best ever.
He was a good head coach too.
I agree. Better than Jason Garrett. Anyway,
I also agree.
The next logical candidate, you'd be like, well, why can't Tom Brady win it? Tom Brady 2 weeks ago would have been my choice. Since then, he's lost to Miami, and he had a mediocre game against Pittsburgh. He hasn't been great. He's had a poor season. He's starting to look old, which, if I was a Patriots fan, I'd be very scared. Because you just got rid of Jimmy Garoppolo, who looks like a legit budding star with the 49ers.
Oh, he does.
Maybe you should have traded Tom Brady to the Jags and kept Jimmy G. Anywho.
Oh, gosh.
Russell Wilson then would have been my next choice because although I don't think he's great, he has accounted for all but one of the Seahawks touchdowns this year, which is an incredible stat.
Which is, honestly, that's my pick for MVP.
So the reason I sort of hesitate on that is yesterday they had a chance, big divisional game to win the division, and they lose to the Rams like 49-6.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
See, I agree with you there. It's just the whole most valuable. It goes to best player or most valuable, because I think the Seahawks would probably be in the top 5 if it wasn't for Russell Wilson.
One thing to remember, though, is it's voted on like it's the best player award. I understand. I think the MVP, the valuable part of that kind of gets touched on a lot, but voters generally say who was the best player this season.
Right.
Which is why
it ends up being the quarterback award.
my pick
for
this year's MVP, Todd Gurley.
Really? Okay.
Todd Gurley.
I thought you were going AB.
So AB had a real chance. I think he could have won it. He had a chance to be the first ever 2,000-yard receiver, and he got hurt. He's done. He's going to miss 3 weeks of football.
Right.
Like, that's a lot of football to miss, especially since Pittsburgh is going to keep winning. Like,
oh, yeah, they're going to be just fine.
I think AB's the best receiver in football. I think he's an all-timer. He's one of the most fun receivers to watch play because somehow he doesn't have the pure athleticism that OBJ has. He doesn't have the size of a Julio or an AJ Green. And that dude is always open. Like, imagine a better Adam Thielen. I mean, that's Antonio Brown. A faster, better Adam Thielen.
That's a good comparison.
A guy who just has a knack for running these amazing routes and always being open. But he's going to miss 3 games of football. Like, and you just can't miss that much time.
And I think the remaining 3 games for Pittsburgh are kind of cakewalks anyway. So, I mean, it's going to look bad that he misses 3 games of football and they most likely win out.
I think there's a better chance that Le'Veon Bell wins it than Antonio Brown, because I could see Le'Veon Bell getting 200 yards and 3 touchdowns in their next couple of games. Because that dude's also a beast.
Yes, amazing.
He's going to get paid. If the Steelers don't pay him, somebody's going to pay him.
Oh, yeah, somebody's
going to be a rich man.
Here's San Francisco for you.
I mean, well,
San Francisco or Cleveland is going to massively pay that.
Carlos Hyde's a free agent.
And they just have so much cap space.
I kind of would rather them sign Carlos Hyde. Carlos Hyde doesn't get much respect. Speaking of underrated,
yeah, Carlos Hyde. I'm with you.
That dude is so good. He's had health concerns. I agree, but this year he's improved his receiving. That he's maybe not a top 5 running back, but he's top 10. That dude's good. Pay that man.
I think he's solidly in the Mark Ingram class of like.
Agreed, yeah.
Because, I mean, basically very, very talented and very good, but really underappreciated by their team and also by just fans.
Mark Ingram is a great comparison because they're similar players too.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, the only other options, the first one that came to my mind was Drew Brees.
Who's been amazing this year.
Who's been good. It's been one of his worst statistical seasons of his career just because the running game has been incredible for New Orleans. His numbers are down. He only has like 25 touchdowns or so.
That just makes up for every other year where he's slinging it.
Yeah, like, he only has 21 touchdowns this year.
Yeah, so he's probably not going to win it.
And I mean, he's deserving, but I don't think he will with those low numbers. Jared Goff?
No. I agree. I think Phillip Rivers has a better chance than Jared Goff does.
So my problem with Phillip Rivers is the same problem I have with Russell Wilson, is they just lost a huge game that is probably going to keep them out of the playoffs. And at least the Seahawks will still probably make it. The Chargers, I doubt it.
They're still pretty good. That defense has been playing a lot better. It's just, it's really tough to come back from an 0-4 hole. It really wasn't Phillip Rivers' fault. Shout out to Koo, the kicker, and Josh Lambo. You shouldn't have cut him. Never cut Josh Lambo. Just warning for everybody.
Now Josh Lambo's going to win a Super Bowl.
That's right. And actually, no. The MVP award should just go to the entire Jacksonville defense.
Oh, my God.
That should be the MVP of the league, because that defense, I feel like you can't give it to one guy, because Calais Campbell balling out, AJ Bouye, amazing, Jalen Ramsey.
They have 2 of the best 5 corners in football.
Young and locked up.
And I love Jalen Ramsey. That defense played great all game. And then DeAndre Hopkins does what he does and gets a great touchdown catch over Jalen Ramsey. And the Jags are blowing them out. They're up like 38-7 at this point. And Jalen Ramsey's pissed because he wanted the shutout.
Oh, yeah, he did.
He's the one who led up the shutout. He's just, get away from me, man. I'm mad kind of thing. I was like, that dude's a perfectionist.
I love that, too. That's like reminiscent of really college football with like the players on Alabama, with Saban and everything, just getting mad at each other because they gave up the shutout. I'm just, that's the only comparison I can think of with amazing defense that gets mad being up like 50-7.
Always goes back to Alabama.
Whatever.
I'm gonna go Todd Gurley. He's been the fantasy MVP this year. He's probably going to wind up as the number 1 overall player in fantasy, and he has been nothing short of incredible. Of course, he couldn't do it without them signing
McVay.
Whitworth and who's the center? Sullivan? Is that the center they signed?
I think so. The guy that used to be in Cincinnati.
And way better
coaching.
Way better offensive scheme. Jared Goff's been better. It's been a fun season as a Todd Gurley fan to watch.
It's amazing when you actually design plays for your big playmaker that isn't just running him up the middle. Isn't that amazing?
You give this guy who has amazing speed and the ability to juke tacklers the ball on the outside. You just throw it to him and let him work. It's amazing what can happen. 'Cause that dude is legit.
He's legit. The other person who I think deserves some consideration, and we touched on him a second ago, is DeAndre Hopkins, because I know he had the run with Deshaun Watson, but now he's got Tom Savage.
They won't give it to a guy on a losing team.
They won't give it to him, but he needs to be in the conversation because that man is a monster.
I agree, but he's just not. His team's bad.
That's the thing. Yeah.
While the award is best player, it's best player on a good team. They might as well rename the award that. It won't be Hopkins. Hopkins will get plenty of accolades. He'll be a first-team All-Pro. He's amazing. He's not going to win MVP. All right, who do you think? Who's your MVP?
My MVP is Russell Wilson. It's because 29 touchdowns out of 30 your team has, like offensive touchdowns. I mean, that's just the way I view the award, and if it was going to happen any year, it would be this year because the award's wide open. Because Aaron Rodgers got hurt, Brady's starting to fall off a little bit. Antonio Brown would have been a front runner, but he just got injured. Carson Wentz injured, so I honestly think it's down to Wilson or Wentz.
I think if the Seahawks close out their last few games successfully, then he's got a good chance. Like, they play their last 2 games are Cowboys, Cardinals. If they blow both of those teams out, I could see him getting it. But like, if they lose to the Cowboys,
then
which I don't know if that's going to happen or not, because Dak is not good all of a sudden. We'll see.
We'll see, because they do get Zeke back.
They do get Zeke back next week,
which basically makes Dak good and changes the Cowboys, basically every facet of the Cowboys game.
Although Morris has been good. Morris has been fine. I don't know I blame Jason Garrett. Let's be honest.
Let's be real. Yeah, all of us blame Jason Garrett.
Is Jason Garrett the worst head coach in the National Football League?
Since McAdoo got fired, yeah.
He's up there, right?
He's up there. I would say I don't get it, because they have so much talent, and he seems okay, but he has to be. He's the
clapper, man. All he does is clap. The team does good, he claps on the sideline. The team does bad, he claps on the sideline.
I mean,
that's all he does.
Definitely reinforces them. I'll give him that. It's just he has to be viewed as a son by like Jerry Jones for the reason why that guy's not gone yet. Like, I'm just surprised he's held on to the Cowboys job that long after they've had so many good coaches come through there that get fired after like 2 years. Like
because
Wade Phillips.
He gets along with Jerry Jones.
I mean, that's really it. You just have to get along with Jerry and you got a job.
Speaking of bad head football coaches, do you see which one lost their job?
No, I didn't.
No? The Bengals and Marvin Lewis have agreed to part ways after the
officially?
season. Yes.
Okay, I saw that, and I saw that he was. I know he denied the report, but I also heard something where the Bengals may try to trade for Hugh Jackson if Dorsey doesn't fire Hugh Jackson.
Dorsey
because
can't fire Hugh Jackson.
that's the thing, because Dorsey's been very non-committal on whether he's keeping Hugh Jackson, but
The
Haslam loves
The Browns
Hugh Jackson.
have already said that Hugh Jackson will be the coach next year.
See, they say things, though, and then they change their
If
mind.
they were going to fire him, they would have fired him alongside Sashi Brown. There would be no reason to keep him around for these last few weeks.
But it's the Browns.
is the
They've
Browns.
changed their tune so often. I can't trust anything they really say. Like, they say, you know what, Brock Osweiler is going to be our starting quarterback or something like that. It's like, no, I don't trust that.
All right, very quickly, because we
Yes.
got to wrap this show up. Super Bowl prediction. NFC, AFC, and then who wins it? Go.
NFC. Give me the Saints.
I like it.
All right. AFC, give me... Oh, it's tough. Give me the Jags.
See, I was also thinking Jags, because if the Jags get the Patriots, that's how you beat Tom Brady. You remember the
With-
Broncos in 2015?
Yep.
With an amazing pass rush and 2 lockdown corners.
That's
the recipe for success.
because Brady isn't going to be able... I hate to say this because Brady's amazing. At this stage in his career, Brady is not going to be able to get it over A.J. Boye, Jalen Ramsey, and all of them. It's going to be lethal for him, and they're going to have to rely on the run, and they haven't really done that all year.
Yeah, it's a great matchup for the Jags, I think. Who wins?
Who wins? I have to roll with Drew Brees if it's that matchup.
Okay.
I have
like
to pick
that
the Saints. I would love it if the Jaguars won a Super Bowl. It's just it goes down to Blake Bortles versus Drew Brees in a big game. I'm gonna pick Drew Brees basically every single time.
So, I will pick the Patriots. I think one last shot for Tom Brady. I don't think he looks old. He hasn't looked this old in his whole career, obviously. Out of the NFC, you aren't going to like this.
Oh, are you going to LA?
Give me the Rams, man.
Oh my god.
The Rams.
Be ready to be disappointed.
Maybe.
Be ready to be disappointed.
Jared Goff may falter, but so far this season, he's been great. They have arguably the best running back in football. They have a great receiving core. I'd call it great. I don't know if there's a trio better than Sammy Watkins, Robert Woods, and Cooper Kupp. Not this year. They have a pretty good defense. One of the best D-lines of football.
That's 100% accurate.
Trumaine Johnson's been very good this year.
He's very, very good.
It's a good team, man. If it's not the Rams, I think the Eagles still have a really good shot.
I was thinking Eagles myself.
The
Just couldn't pull the
Saints pick,
trigger
I
on it.
also... It's one of those 3 teams. I think those are the best 3 teams in the NFC. The Saints, the Eagles, and the Rams. Partly to just piss you off, I'm just going to go with the Rams. And you know what? Greatest show on turf vengeance game. Give me the Rams over the Patriots for the Super Bowl. I'm doing it.
It's okay. Belichick will set up some different cameras and spy on the walkthroughs and everything.
Come on, man.
I don't know. History repeats itself, so we'll see. We'll see here.
All right, thank you everyone for listening. Remember that we don't hate each other. Follow us on social media at The Rollout Show. Check out theRolloutSports.com. Leave us ratings on iTunes. We all love you very much. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
We all love you very much, and be ready to reach out to Bradley after he is disappointed with that Rams pick, which is going to go awry.
We'll see about that.
It's never bet on the Rams. Believe me. I'm saying this with my heart.
I
Never
like
do it.
rye bread.
It's pretty good, isn't it? Like a nice, like a Reuben sandwich or something with a Thousand Island and the sauerkraut. Anyway, go have a good lunch, everybody. Goodbye.